It's the life based upon love that enters the kingdom. And so the mindset has to change from the concept of refraining from doing something because it's forbidden to doing something because it's the right thing to do, because it's righteous, because it is the path of life. And when we begin doing things out of the sense of love, out of the sense of respect for each individual, then the path opens and brightens. We live in a world where people are very, very critical. They don't like this, that, or the other thing that someone else does or someone else has, or the way someone else, keeps their house or whatever. There's too much criticism going on in the world. And I think part of the reason that goes on is people don't take a good look at their own lives. It's much easier for us to walk around and create rules and things for other people to live by that we don't have to live by. For us, for growth to take place, we must create our own set of rules. We have to meditate and pray about what that is for us. We have to find our own mission, and we cannot infringe upon the rights of others, because infringing on the rights of others would not be an act of love and kindness. So if what we create for ourselves is some sort of rubric that disregards our fellow man, then we're violating one of the basic laws. And we have to look at our motivation for creating that rubric, so to speak. Why did we do that? Why did we create something that infringes upon somebody else? Obviously, it's out of the thought process that God didn't provide enough for us. The creative force didn't provide what we should have, because we should have what somebody else has. That thought process leads us in some really dark places. The thought process has to be that as part of this creative plan, this creative scheme, that what's ours is there for us to accept and to use and to take. And we must open ourselves up to what that is. And we must have a concept that there is enough and to spare. There is sufficient for all of our needs. All we need to do is open up and look at that. Recently I had some friends that, against the advice of others, for whatever reason, remodeled. And now they spend their waking hours trying to figure out where they're going to get the money to pay for the remodel, even though they didn't need to remodel at the time, but they wanted to do it. And so now, something that was pursued at what one might say at the wrong economic time, has now created stress in the relationship, because they're not seeing where they're going to have the money coming from, because there's job pressures, things of that nature. People are doing less hours, there's less income, they don't have what they thought they were going to have to spread around. And so they're having problems within the relationship. So what is that relationship based on? How do you base your relationships in life? If the relationships are based on love, they're probably going to survive any monetary crisis that might come along, whether self-imposed or imposed by the outside world. If the relationships are based upon money, getting ahead in the world, things of that nature, those relationships won't survive. And not only won't they survive, they're not healthy. They don't contribute to your growth. They retard your growth, because you as a soul on the planet are no longer expanding in the areas of benevolence and kindness. You're running around the planet in terms of greed, and we've been taught this is the right thing. You need this, there's a whole system that goes on out there. But that teaching is probably false. The whole impetus of Christ being here on the planet was to give us a new dispensation, a new way of looking at things, a new way of operating, an operating system that allows us growth and allows those around us to grow. It doesn't inhibit anybody. It allows a freedom to take place in our approach to God. There's no longer the looking at God in terms of what He will do to us if we don't obey. The look now is to the thought that there is a creative plan, a perfect plan, a plan devised for each of us, that all we need to do is open ourselves up to the channel or path of love and view Him as a loving God, or that creative force as a loving force, a force that gives in our lives as we give. The law of karma can have effect. If we take, it will be taken from us. If we give, it will be given unto us. The law of harmony has effect. We need to keep balance within our lives. We need to maintain the integrity of our being. The maintaining of the integrity of our being happens through paths of love, peace, and harmony. It doesn't happen through paths of greed or listening to others. We all have to sit down to pray and meditate and find out who and what we're about and lead that path or that life. And then there's a great reward for us. If we choose merely to listen to others, we're going to miss our lives. If we choose to follow rules that have been set down out of fear, we're going to miss our lives. We're at the stage of evolution that what makes us to continue to grow is the observation of love, peace, harmony, kindness, gentleness. And that doesn't make us weak. It makes us strong. Strong enough to endure anything that appears to be going on the planet that would want to disrupt our equilibrium. The path that we all want to be able to have and to take and to understand for our lives is that if this moment everything around you fell away and collapsed, would you be able to stand strong, secure, loving, and kind? And if you can't answer that in the affirmative, then you need to take a look at your path and work on that. Each one of us must become self-perfected. We cannot do our best for our fellow man if we ourselves are not at our best. So the first obligation is to yourself. Second obligation, to our fellow man. And they can work together, but you must be always mindful of who and what you are and where your growth leads you. So with that thought in mind, let us turn over and do the doxology.